What's up everyone? In this video we're going to talk about the shoulder position without which you will not be able to hold any handstand. It doesn't matter what you do with your core, with your toes, with your legs, with your pelvis. If you haven't nailed that, nothing is going to happen and you won't be able to hold a consistent handstand. So this video and the drills we're going to talk about together are meant for both beginners and improvers when it comes to handstands. They are a snippet of my Handstand Smart method, which is launching next Monday. The doors for signing up are open until this Sunday. You will find the link in the description below. Now, when it comes to learning handstands, you will realize soon that there's such a thing as priorities. And people tend to bring their attention on two things. Either things that do matter, but later down the road, such as cosmetic improvements. Pointing your toes would be one of them. Posteriorly tilting your pelvis so that you become very straight is another of them. And we have countless examples about that. Nothing wrong, but you're kind of wasting your time because instead of bringing your attention on what really matters and will make a huge difference for your handstands, you are dedicating your training sessions and your mental energy to superficial details that won't help you hold a more consistent handstand, won't help you hold it longer, and won't help you conquer the fear if you're still afraid of falling. Even worse, most of the times, people bring their attention on things that actually don't matter. And we're just bathing in a sea of misconceptions because of what's being said out there from YouTube and forums. It's very hard as a beginner to navigate those muddy waters, and hopefully the tutorials I am producing will help you understand what you are after, will help you go beyond the righteousness of such and such method and make you understand mechanically, technically, what we are after to hold a handstand. And so what happens is that we blame the wrong culprits, the wrong causes, when we are unable to perform properly a drill. And at the root of most technical issues and technical mistakes I see is the shoulder position over the hands. Your shoulders in handstands, in 100% of the shapes you're gonna learn for the first 3 to 5 years of your handstand journey, your shoulders have to be over the center of the hands and not over the wrists. If your shoulders travel backwards, if your shoulders travel from that point, that spot over the center of the wrist, which you can see with the line that I'm drawing from the shoulders to the hands, if your shoulders start moving backwards from there, you will lose your handstand. You can kick up in a functional alignment and suddenly not paying attention to that shoulder position, allow them to move backwards, and you will lose your handstand. You can also never quite get to that stack because you're not aware of what you should do and you're not aware of where your shoulders should go for you to be able to hold the handstand. And so this is when we end up with kick-ups that never quite get to the right floating position. Now understand this, that shoulder position is the base upon which you will build the rest. Without that, it doesn't matter that you're doing things right, you will fall. And that's what I was saying about priorities. This is your priority number one. This is certainly one of your most important priorities when you kick up into a handstand. You have to ensure that your shoulders stay where you want them to be so that you can then flex your shoulders, align your pelvis, tilt it the proper way, put your legs in the desired shape, and start balancing. I like to make the cake analogy sometimes. Don't bring your attention to the cherry on that cake if you don't have the cake itself. And that alignment of the shoulders over the hands is the base layer of your cake. And to feel that, here are 4 drills that you can perform whether you're a complete beginner or a more experienced hand balancer. If you're a complete beginner, you can try the first 3 drills of this video. If you're a bit more advanced, I still advise you to start with the first drill and to warm your way up, all the way up to the last drill. The first drill, we're gonna start on all 4, and we're gonna feel here how easy it is to lose that first stack. Putting your hands on all 4 and starting in a plank position, you're gonna try to walk your feet towards your hands and away from your hands back into a plank position. What you don't want to happen is what I call the downward dog syndrome. When we perform a downward dog in yoga, and by no means I'm any expert when it comes to yoga, but you will see the shoulders traveling backwards for the sake also to promote shoulder flexion. This is exactly what you don't want to see in handstands. So from your plank position, walk your feet towards your hands, walk your feet away from your hands back into the plank position, but ensure that your shoulders stay exactly the same. If I had my hands behind your shoulders, you shouldn't lose contact with my hands. You shouldn't create any gap between your shoulders and your hand, despite your feet walking forward and backwards. Drill number 2, we're gonna kick up against the wall and we're gonna do things quote unquote wrong. And that's super important when it comes to handstands. Don't think that just because you understand in theory what you should be doing, that you will do it. There's such a thing as a hiatus between what we feel we are doing and what we are actually doing. And to understand what we should be doing and why, we sometimes have to do things the wrong way. So you're gonna kick up against that wall, and if you cannot reach the wall just yet, rest assured that in the smart handstand method, that we have a lot of tutorials and tips for you to get there in a matter of days or weeks. And again, all the information is down below. You're gonna kick up against that wall and find some lightness on the foot if you have one foot on the wall, or on both feet if you have both feet on the wall. And from that position, but you can apply the same logic to any position really, you're gonna start very gradually moving the shoulders away from the wall. And at some point, just like a tree that would be chopped off the wall, you will feel that timber syndrome. You will feel that timber moment at which the tree is about to fall back down. And that's when we cross what I call in the method the tipping point, after which it's gonna be very, very hard for you to hold a handstand. And so what you're doing on purpose is moving the shoulders out of their axis, allowing them to lean backwards and seeing how this will consistently hinder your capacity to balance. You can do that a couple of reps, but really ensure that you're doing it slowly so that your brain and your body have the time to figure out what's happening, and so that you can replicate that whenever it's time to balance with the wall, with a partner, or without a wall. Third drill, chest to the wall. We are going to walk our hands to the wall properly. Again, loads of tutorials about how to do this the proper way in the links down below. You're gonna flex your shoulders so that your pelvis, your feet, and your shoulders are kind of aligned, but you're gonna ensure that your shoulders are not in the right alignment. They're not over the center of the hands yet. And from that position, we're just gonna lean into the desired position and out of it. We're starting from, quote unquote, the wrong place, going into the right place. And what may happen is that your feet are gonna slide down the wall as a consequence, because the weight is being taken off your feet into your hands, and that's a sign that you're about to take off, and that's a sign that you're using the wall the proper way. Try to minimize any kind of noise in your body. The only thing we're moving is those shoulders forward just a few inches and backwards, and realize how much closer we are to a handstand when they lean over the center of the hands, and how close we get again to that tipping point when they lean away. And as you lean away, your feet become heavier again. You just lost your handstand. Final drill, if you're a bit more advanced, we're gonna kick up with our hands already on the floor and our first stack, already prepared. Now we're gonna forget about all the cues that we normally pay attention to, because what matters here is that you experience how stable you can be despite suboptimal positions if they happen to happen. So I'm gonna kick up and I'm not gonna pay too much attention to the perfect degree of shoulder flexion I wanna have and the perfect leg position and how pointed my toes are. And I just want to feel how sturdy and stable I am whenever I make sure that those shoulders rest over the top of my hands. And that allows us to conclude with a very important point. At your stage of your journey, it is much more important for you to hold a consistent handstand 30% of the time first, and 15 and 75 and eventually 100% of the time, than it is to have a perfectly straight handstand that you don't know how to hold consistently. If it happens once in a blue moon, it's pretty much useless. So ensure that that first stack works for you, and realize how the first stack is essential to being able to hold a handstand consistently. And once you have this feeling in your bones, once you have acquired this technique so deep that you don't have to think about it, you will be able to hold the same with much straighter handstands. You will have the base upon which you can build much straighter alignments. If you work on alignment and how straight you are before you work on consistency as a beginner and as an improver, you are shooting yourself in the foot. That's all for now. If you're interested in working on those drills, if that resonates and makes sense to you, again, check my SMART handstand method. This works in cohorts, so it means that you get my coaching for a number of weeks as well to ensure that you're doing things properly. The goal being taking you from scratch to having a consistent, straight, freestanding handstand for 15, 20, or even 30 seconds. If you have any question, again, leave a question in the comments and I will get back to you. Have a very good day. Talk to you soon.